What's up YouTube? Dell here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to be doing you a tier list post Doom of Dimensions, but I'm not going to be doing it on my own. So I wanted to do this a little bit more going forward, as I quite like the idea of having more points of views involved. And what I felt when I was doing these live stream elements is that usually they can turn into quite a nice like podcast thing, that you don't need to visually see everything, which means it's not so bad to have it as a longer video, because then you could like listen to it while you're at the gym or listen to it while you're traveling or anything else like that. So it gives you a nice little bit of background movement as well. So that being said, I'm actually joined today by Shane. So hopefully Shane can hear me and Shane will be able to say hello.
Hello everyone.
Yeah. So hopefully that's coming through nice and clearly. If there are any issues, let me know in the chat as we're going live. But like I said, this is something new that I'm doing on this one. And the idea is that, as you can see with the lineup, I've pretty much got the decks that either decks that have been slightly affected by the most recent Forbidden Limited list, or decks that were competing pre-list and where they're going to be now. And then right at the end of all of this, we've got all of the brand new decks, or decks that have now received a new live line of support. So you can see like there's Dracotels, there's DDDs, there's Sulfur Chords, RBs, Yummies, the Radiants, Gokis, Black Rose, Megaliths, you name it. Like there's going to be loads there. So we're going to start off with the one that I pretty much always go to. Now, I don't know whether it is because it's Atlantean Mermails or Mermails, but this is just how the images fall. I probably should shake them up, but I suppose it gives you a bit more continuity as well, that if I start where the last one's already start. So Atlantean Mermail or Mermail Atlantean. So when we look at the most recent Forbidden and Limited list, and Shane might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I don't think anything changed on the most recent list for them.
No, they just never fully recovered from the Abyss Dweller hit the previous Forbidden Limited list. I just don't think they quite managed to change or find that replacement, did they?
No, I mean the deck's still incredibly good. Like, so shout out to Matthew from Locals, because he plays it like religiously, and
yeah, he
like,
does.
it's such a weird one, and it kind of epitomizes how this deck works. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of epitomizes how this deck works, where it's like, if it goes off, or like if you don't open up the right interaction, or if they open up the right interaction, they just honestly don't care about. Like Draw a Lot Bird is one of their biggest weaknesses, and they just don't care about if they open up with the right interaction. And Nibiru, again, they don't really need to worry about it too much, and it's very good at going second, very good at going first. Overall, a nice balanced deck. If we're looking at on the whole grand scheme of things, of like if we take into like degenerate or unfair style decks, where they're like, hey, I put a barrier statue on the field, try and break it. This is probably one of the most annoying ones. And it is a shame when you look at it, because Mermails themselves just have the natural tendency to be very, very aggressive. Like they could go second quite easily. So to me, personally, it's definitely not the best deck, but I definitely feel that it's higher than Locals. I would not be surprised if we get tops with a Mermail Atlantean deck at some point around in this new format. I don't know what you feel on that one, Shane, if you feel that. I don't even know. Actually, we didn't even really go over the titlings, but I don't like to use tiers, because I think tiers are semi-subjective. Like, what's considered as a tier 0, what's considered like tier 1, tier 2 kind of thing. So I try to break it down into where I feel the decks not so much top out at, but where there'll be the most like where they could do the most effectiveness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree. I think you'll definitely see this deck get tops at regionals. I think it could be impacted by obviously Mitsurugi is considered to be one of the best decks going forward, as well, like, alongside Yummy. So I think if that is the case, it might get caught in the crossfire if people start to main roll or side roll a bit more. But it's definitely one of them decks that rewards the pilot or the player with just dedication and just learning the matchups. And it definitely will take people by surprise at a regional level.
Sorry, I might have lost you on that one. That's my mistake. Anyway, no, I completely agree with you on that one. I feel like it really kind of comes down to pilot preparation, and I think with most decks though, as an overall theme, the more prepared the pilot is, the better the deck can do. And I feel that that's the one big thing. That's why I get a lot of people going. Usually, will come in and be like, "Oh, what about this deck?" And it's like, well, the deck itself, if you don't take a pilot into consideration, is only going to be able to go so far. But even then, you still need to take the basic level of understanding of a deck as well. So, for me and you, I think we're both in agreement. Clicking on the wrong page on this one, that the Atlantean Mermail is definitely like a regional contender. Now, I don't tend to do this as much, but maybe now that I've got you with me, maybe it's a lot easier to do this. We'll try and navigate them left to right as well. So the closer left they are, the more effective they will be in those particular environments. I think might not be the worst way of doing it. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next one. The next one is Labyrinth. Now, Labyrinth is this really weird deck right now, and what I mean by that is, I can't tell where control decks currently sit in the format. I'm not sure what is holding Labyrinth back, bar the fact, because I personally don't feel that many people are, like, if I was to turn it to locals tomorrow and someone was to play Labyrinth, I don't think I would be prepared for it. But then my question to myself is, how much natural involvement of your deck do you have to deal with Labyrinth? Is that what's holding it back? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think part of the issue is I mean, they can play on turn 0 like some of the decks that have come out of Justice Hunter. I think the issue is they are it's at quite a cost sometimes, like by discarding the Stovey Torvey to be able to set, and then have to discard the Clue Clock to then be able to activate it in the same turn. It just seems a bit fragile if your opponent's playing a deck that has a natural either back row or just general monster effect negation. And I think it's always the issue with trap decks is they tend to be a little bit slower, even if you have the capacity to be able to use the effects to make them activate their traps on the same turn. Yeah, it's a weird one, but again, it's one of them decks where if the player plays it religiously, they are probably going to be able to maybe sneak a regional top here and there.
Yeah, exactly that. And I feel one of the things you've also mentioned is the fact that, you know, natural trap decks as well, they always they need to go first. It's a lot harder for them to go second, because they're always trying to. They're always I'm trying to fit the right word behind this. They're always behind.
Yeah.
Like with combo decks, if they're going second, they still have that ability to combo 1, combo 2, combo 3, combo 4, like have different alternatives. So yeah, I'm just going to add 2 more images to this one, because I suddenly thought that they're not on here, and I've completely disregarded them because of not so much the Drax, but Dynamorphia because of the new time rules, or like new end of match procedures. And I felt like that's a deck that I don't talk about enough. And in the past, when I was critiquing Dynamorphia, I was basically saying the issue with Dynamorphia is your opponent would just slow play you. Like game 1, they probably drag it out a little bit more, take the loss, and then go game 2, win the game 2, and then game 3 they just let you burn your life points down to near enough 0. So yeah, we'll talk about those a little bit later on in a minute anyway. Yeah, so okay, Labyrinth. Where do we feel that these could sit? I'll let you take your shot on this one.
I would definitely say, I mean, my heart is saying locals. I generally think it'd have to be a really good run at a regional to be able to, I'd say, get into the top cut of a regional. I think the fact they can loop specific trap cards that are really good for the matchup is really advantageous. Like I think it's Lovely Lady.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I'm talking from experience here. Locals last night, where I was playing Mitsurugi, and the opposition player just managed to keep looping Dimensional Barrier, so I just couldn't ever ritual summon.
No way! You played Labyrinth last night.
Yeah, literally, and I never thought about that interaction before. That lady could just keep looping this specific trap that is if you like, the silver bullet for certain decks. But I feel like maybe the more wiser players or the players at a regional level might have either the answer to that, or the chance of facing more rogues sometimes in the early rounds of a regional might knock a Labyrinth player at their groove. So I personally think a local level, like on the whole, with maybe the odd regional, but yeah, local definitely.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that, and again, these placements, this isn't us saying the deck can't top a regional, the deck can't feature at regional. It's more so how consistent it would be at those environments. And I agree with you. I feel like with Mermail Atlantean, because they've got that balance of going first, going second very, very well, they kind of cover it no matter what the dice roll outcome is. Not that Labyrinth aren't that good, but you have to be semi-prepared of like how can you make them go second and still be effective. And not everyone is going to have the ability to main deck evenly match or be prepared to main deck evenly match and kind of breakers in that sense. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's definitely high end of the locals, and again, this will all take a bit more shape once we fill this out, but kind of go from that one. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is Snake Eyes. Now, I don't know why. I think Snake Eyes is literally the only one up here that I chose to use a banned card art for. No idea why, but we're going to roll with it. So Snake Eyes was actually a beneficiary of the most recent Forbidden Limited list. So they ended up getting Ash and Poplar back to free. Now, even with those both back to free, they are still missing Original Sinful Spoils, which, in my opinion, was always the biggest issue card for Snake Eyes. So, to me, I still feel it's a little bit early to judge how effective Snake Eyes can be at a higher level. I do feel that it's probably past its prime, maybe past its, like, not saying it's fully power crept, but it's definitely had power crept in it. That I don't know if I don't know if I'd put it. I definitely wouldn't put it regional. I don't think I'm putting it in regional. But I don't know if I'd put it above or below Labyrinth. What's your kind of thoughts on it?
I personally would put it probably. I would put it above Labyrinth, and the only reason for that is I think it can still be explosive enough without the original Sinful Spoils and the Doom Dragon engine, and the fact that you can still do Flamberge along with the field spell. I genuinely think it's still enough to steal games, and I think they can play going second to a point. And I think that there has been some people teching Snake Eye with Yummy as well because they're level 1s, etc. So I genuinely think it would be above Labyrinth. I just think it has a bit of a higher ceiling and a bit more of a just flexibility to go first or second.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I kind of forgot how the Yummies could be utilised with this deck as well. And with them, yeah, you are right. Like, Flamberge was always a pain in the backside to deal with. Such an incredibly powerful card, and recycling the resource. I feel that they're definitely more susceptible to certain interactions than they are now. But I agree with you. I feel that they probably have a little bit more balance over Labyrinth for going first and going second. So yeah, I kind of agree with that one. Okay, the next one. Now, this is actually a big one for something that only got one card changed on the most recent list. It's actually got a huge amount of hype. So let's talk about Branded. Branded, not only are they getting some new support, definitely some alternative artworks, but getting their whole, like, the first, I think to my knowledge, the first full foil structure deck next month, which is crazy to think, because I'm pretty sure that everyone would then, once you buy that, everyone's going to get access to alternate art, Triple Tactics Thrust, which does look pretty amazing, and also a couple of new cards, which do seem to be leaving a little bit to imagination, but Branded is always going to be one of them decks that is still around. And I think getting Branded Fusion back to 2, not saying that it's gonna take it on like 10 levels and the deck's going to go all of a sudden from being a deck that was kind of power creep that dropped out of the competitive scene to now being like fully in the competitive scene. But I feel that the early doors events, we might see Branded getting a bit more representation. But I don't know where its effectiveness goes. I personally don't feel that it's effective enough just by playing it pure and having 2 Branded Fusion now rather than 1 is going to take it from a high-end local contender to a mid-range, highly competitive regional deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a real tough one because Branded has always still been here. You'll be some players' pet decks that will take it to regionals. I think Darwin was one of the local players that constantly took it to like the Open and took it to regionals and saw some relative success with it. And that's the issue. I think it's going to be specific players that get success with it. I don't think any player could just pick this up and take it to a regional and see success. It's going to be the players that have years of experience, and they'll be few and far between. And I don't think 1 or 2 cards is going to change that. Like you said, having the second brand of fusion, 100% is going to help. But the issue is it still has the issue of if it is Ash Blossom, you can't activate another brand of fusion. So it still has that same old. Even when brand of fusion was at 3, if you had the brand of fusion and had some other interrupt, it was still enough at times. It still has that weakness. I know people are messing around with Draco Tau as well, with Branded as well.
Yeah.
I like pure Branded. Again, high-end locals. Just not enough people will be playing it to see any major regional success, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely going to be one of them ones where the pilot is going to be the big difference on this, and exactly as you mentioned, in the past, the high level of representation also kind of had that ability to go Gimmick Puppet Lock, and the Gimmick Puppet Lock is always going to be a lot stronger than the Ido Lock. Because once Gimmick Puppet hit the field, that was it. You weren't doing anything. Whereas with Ido, it's only while it stays on the field. So as soon as you can get rid of it, and there are ways to do that now a little bit more effectively, you're able to clear it off. So I completely agree. Like Mirror Jade is still an incredibly, insanely powerful boss monster. I don't think Alba System, the new card they got in Battles of Legend, is anything too, out there and too amazing.
No.
And I agree. The 2 branded fusion's nice, but it's not. Even with 3 branded fusion, what you're doing is increasing the consistency that your Aluba could be interacted with, but then you're still not going the distance.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So we're agreeing on locals. Yeah. Are we saying above or below Labyrinth, and then above or below Snake Eyes?
I'd probably say in the middle. Middle of the 3. Me personally, I would say so, definitely. Like I think just because Snake Eyes is still a tiny bit more modern, is a lot more splashable with other things. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that one. I think there's just a little bit more flexibility, and with Snake Eyes as well, it's a little bit harder to kind of nail it down with one potential weakness. Not saying that everyone's going to be playing D-Bar or anything, but majority of people will play Ash Blossom, which can kind of... Ash Blossom will still hurt like the Summon of Flamberge, like if you're using Ash or Oak to get from the deck, but they still have more to play through from that point on as well. Definitely. Cool. All right, moving on to the next one. Now, this is one I'm actually really quite excited for. Now, this will come into effect a little bit more with the Radiance later on, but Sky Striker. Now, we saw Sky Striker get top 4 at Worlds. We've seen Sky Striker get a resurgence thanks to the brand new cards and, of course, Engage now being back at 3. And on top of that, and this is what I find really exciting, is the Radiant cards that they can use, they only really need to use a common. They don't have to. They can use like more if they wanted to, but the Radiant common card, I remember watching an MCAL40 video and he was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god, the deck does this now? And it was something stupid. It was something crazy like you activate the Radiant spell card that lets you draw 2, and then you have to discard a Radiant card or a quick play spell. And you chain linkage to send the radiant spell to the grave. You summon out, so you would resolve linkage. You get your area 0, and then you send the radiant to the graveyard. The radiant then lets you draw 2 cards, and if none of them are a quick play spell, you discard your entire hand, which sometimes can be a bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world, because what's going to happen there is you discard your entire hand, or you discard a quick play spell. So let's say best case scenario, you discard a quick play spell, right? Because your hand of 5, you've only used 2 cards from it. So what made that insane is on the new chain, the area 0 then searches you out and engage, and your engage already has 3 spells in the grave, which is nuts, because you just go engage, search whatever you want, grab like a linkage or anything, like a linkage to get rid of your 0, and then you draw a card, and then you go linkage, turn your 0 into Kagari, add back engage, activate engage, search, draw. Like, mental. Absolutely mental. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Sky Strikers with that. I feel they're in a very good position. I do feel, however, that there are decks around that will cause them issues, because they still have the same issue to deal with certain towers, but the deck is still very, very good.
No, definitely. I mean, what more can you say about engage? Like, everyone's like, oh, that card's never coming back. The card's never coming back, and then it's back. Just the fact that you can just draw 1 off the engage when you've got multiple spells in, and like you said, with the splash ability with the new Magnificent Storm and all the support they've had recently, is still a very scary deck. And the fact, again, it can go first or second. It's just quite versatile, isn't it? And it could just be chopped and changed to suit the meta accordingly. Definitely, well, at present anyway.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even say I'm going out on a limb on this one. I feel that strikers very easily fit within the regional aspect. I would not be surprised if we see this being represented. I would not be surprised if we see this doing well on top of that. So I feel, because of its modernized update, and definitely with the radiant spells, I'd be quite comfortable putting this above the Mermail Atlanteans. I just feel that representation would be there, and the effectiveness will be there as well.
100%, yeah. I couldn't agree any more than that, really, because engage is engage.
I feel the other benefit as well is by playing the radiant cards, you get that engage. Like, your first engage, search, and draw is all under draw. Like, your opponent then draws you go, okay, fine, I've just, I've got what I needed to. And then the fact that Droll's also taking this grey area as to whether or not people keep it in the side or main deck, or like what's happening with it right now, is also quite fascinating to me.
No, definitely.
Okay, so let's move on to one that you used to play and really, really enjoy. I still really enjoy it as a sub-engine, but not that I want it back, but I would like to have it back, is Kashtiras. So, whether you're counting Kashtiras as an engine, whether you're counting Kashtiras as a deck on itself, I personally feel... Now, it's weird, because as a very small engine, if you are considering it with like Drakatals, like if you consider just Fenrir, I would say like Fenrir is like a regional level card. Like there's no... I don't think there's much debate on that one. But as a deck itself, if you're like, I'm just playing pure Kashtiras, or I'm playing Kashtiras with Regenesis, you will do well. But I personally feel it sits on a local level, because I don't think there's as many decks that are playing like singular cards, like singular extra deck cards, that Unicorn demolishes. Like in the past, hit Detonator, that was a bit of pain in the backside, but people are now on 3 Snatchy. Maybe you hit the Herald of the Arclight, but was that ever really that big of an issue? Like, if you go second, they're already going to have that on the field. Against Drakatals, they're going to play multiples. DDDs, it can be a little bit annoying against, but how many DDDs are you actually going to face? So, to me, Kashtiras is like a high-end local deck.
Yeah, definitely. I think, there was one player in the the southern area of the UK that was again religiously playing Kashtira, and saw some success with it. I mean, they exclusively played Kashtira, and they took it to regionals, and I believe they actually won a regional prior to nationals, and I think it is more as good as that player is. Having played him a couple of times, it's more the surprise factor than the deck itself. Like the deck does what it needs to do. Like you said with Unicorn, it can pick up problem cards, and Fenrir is just Fenrir. Just gets rid of any problematic card on the field, and and that's the thing. I feel like that's kind of where it ends. It will just be the tech cards that make the deck as opposed to Kashtira itself. So yeah, I would probably agree with a high-end locals in the right hands. Again, like we said, even with branded or Snake Eyes, it could probably top a regional, but again, it won't be represented enough for it to be a stable regional
consistent regional contender. I completely agree with you. Completely agree with that one. So probably going to put that on. I mean, I feel as a deck, if we're just counting it as pure, it probably is the lower end just because of its consistency factor. And like you said, the surprise factor really helps it nudge up a bit. So I'm going to quickly catch up with the chat. So David Hort says, good evening. We are all doing well. Are there going to be some updates to Blue Eyes? There'll probably be a couple of updates to Blue Eyes. As of right now, not a huge amount has effectively changed. And then Odd Pain has said, how are we doing? And how are we having a good evening? I completely agree. It's something a little bit different today. So joined by Shane, for those of you just joining us live. Shane is going to be helping me go through this tier list. We're probably like nearly half an hour in, maybe just under. We've been streaming for 34 minutes. And we've only done 6 decks, so we're looking good. Another one has also put Melodious, which is a very good shout. That's another deck that I'm gonna add that to the here because I haven't. Melodious is another one of them decks that just kind of, I don't know. It kind of like, I suppose we'll talk about it at the same time. Why not? It kind of like drifts in and out. Like nothing changes in a competitive landscape for it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really gain anything from Forbidden Limited List. It didn't lose anything.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it just, like you say, it flits in and out. And again, for me, it's just it is another branded type deck where the right pilot. I mean, you can say the same about a lot of the decks. The right pilot, the right player will get success with it. But again, it won't have the representation. I mean, I don't remember the last time I actually saw a Melodious player at a locals or a regional, to be quite honest. I'm not sure why, because really it is quite a resilient deck. It takes quite a few specific pairings of hand traps to actually make a dent. So yeah, it's very odd, actually, the Melodious deck. It's like, it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad deck by any stretch, but you just don't see people really playing with it or having any success.
Yeah, it is very odd. I kind of second everything you've just said. Like, there's no... all I've noticed, like, when I've faced it, it has always been a bit of an annoyance because, like, Ostinato is crazy. Like, it's their own brand of fusion, and they have that at 3. And then their Pendulum Scales, Baka, like... I suppose the only thing I could say is that we're not in a format right now. Like, when you look at its Enfield, if you're just playing, like, normal Melodious, its Enfield was usually a, like, what was it, triple DD Crow, right? And then, which you would think would be really good, but it's not. And then
Shuberta, I think, Shuberta.
Yeah, Shuberta was, like, DD Crow from the grave, and then it had the other one that returned from the field to the hand. So, ultimately, you would think it would be quite effective, but... I suppose when you kind of try and take Dracotal into account, there isn't really like a point where you returning their cards from the field to the hand is a massive detriment. And again, banishing from the graveyard within reason isn't the biggest detriment because they would have already set the cards they wanted to. So it's not the end all be all if you're taking that into account. The yummy one again, I feel the yummy one, it's what, as soon as they get snatchy, everything they try and to return to the hand, they're just gonna like chain effects to it and do everything else. So maybe just naturally the format for them isn't quite right.
No, yeah, especially with Yummy. I mean, they're playing, a million hand traps, and if they pair them correctly or have the correct pairs, then yeah, you're just going to have a bad day.
Yeah, I think shockingly for us, me and you, the representation is so low and we can't understand it. But if you're talking about like consistency of the deck, I would actually say of the ones we've got up here so far, it's probably the most effective and the most consistent.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, if you just look at, like you said, the consistency and the general capabilities of the deck, then yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, let's talk about. So we're now going to hit, and I'm actually going to put them all together. Let's put. Where are you? There was a raisin there. Here you go. So let's look at the decks. The two decks from the last meta. Ryziel. I'll even put Mitsurugi up here actually. Ryziel, Malice, Vanquish Soul, and then Mitsurugi. Okay. So me and you have both played Malice. I kind of dropped Malice before March here, which is whether you see that as a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Malice. The only benefit I could possibly imaginally say right now about Malice is that with Dormouse at 1, are people now going to run the risk less and less that they don't play Lancia in the side deck? Is Lancia now worth putting in the side deck?
I personally say yes, and it's not purely for Malice, because there are countless rogue decks that need to banish, and failing that, you still have Lunar Light running round. It still hurts the Crystron engine. You might get punished by the K9 side of it if they're playing K9 Crystron. I personally think Lancer still has a slot place in my side deck. And I genuinely think there will still be the Malice players out there that have been playing it since release that will still play it regardless of this Forbidden and Limited list, and they will definitely take advantage of people cutting Lancer out of the side deck. That's me personally. I've always liked Lancer as a card personally. I think it's a very versatile card against a variety of decks.
Okay, so let's say we keep Lancer in. They lost Dormouse. Dormouse went to 1. They then also lost Splash Mage. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, okay, that's fine. Splash Mage just gets replaced with Hagar Lizardos. Mm-hmm. So, if we're doing that, what goes into the extra deck for the Splash Mage? Is there a direct replacement for that?
No. I think the plays might be more centric around Cyburst Wicked, and maybe just going back to the Hagar Lizards. I don't think there. I mean, I think some people have been playing Code Talker inverted. I believe some people that might be a bit of copium, but it's still a Cyburst. It's still a Link 2. Don't get me wrong. The Splash Mage hit definitely hurts, but I don't. I'm not part of the doomsayers saying that Malice is dead. I personally don't think Malice is dead. I don't think Malice is going to go away. It's not going to be as represented for sure because it's not as powerful as it was. But I still think it will still be up there. It won't be a best deck, me personally, but I think it will definitely still steal some regionals 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. I definitely don't think it's in the best deck category right now. I think previously it was, but it was always this weird one where Malice losses more times than not. So let's say Malice, like as a Malice deck, now this is just going to be numbers off the top of my head, right? So let's say Malice played 100 duels. Of those 100 duels, Malice lost 100 times. Of those 100 times, I almost guarantee you'd probably be looking at 50% of those losses were because of Lancia. And then something like 30% of those losses would have been like, actually, I'll take that back. 40% would have been for Lancia. 40% would have been for just pure inconsistencies post the previous list.
Yep.
And the final 20% would have been they did just get outplayed. They got broken. They got interacted with too much. Which is what I find really weird with Malice is that they have, as annoying as it is when they go off and when they're able to play through certain aspects, but when they don't, yeah, it is quite an interesting one. But I agree with you. I think it's definitely a regional deck. Would you put it above both of the others?
No, I personally would put it in the middle purely because I generally think Sky Striker is probably, it'll be more represented and probably has a bit more versatility. And I don't think it doesn't have a silver bullet like Lancia does, like Malice does with Lancia, and it's not had any hits. I think you combine the hits Malice took with the fact that it does still get shut down by Lancia, probably puts it below Sky Striker.
Puts it where it is.
Yeah, I think it still is probably a bit better than Atlantean on the whole, really.
Yeah. Completely agree. Now,
yeah.
I'm gonna start burning through these in a minute. Not like proper burning through fastly, but I think there's ones that we don't really need to talk too much detail about. So, Mitsurugi, pure. I think we can both agree it's one of the best decks. Like,
100%.
It didn't really lose that much on the most recent list. None of the Mitsurugis got directly hit. So,
which is a miracle, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed that none of them got any touch on that one. Ryziel, just while here, we're going to quickly burn through the main meta ones. Ryziel is a pure, in my opinion, is pretty much dead and gone.
Oh, gone, yeah.
Ryziel with a Mitsurugi, the fact that they've lost the King of the Feral Imps kind of makes you question that, is there any point in playing Mitsurugi Ryziel? Like, you're better off just playing pure Mitsurugi, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still an argument for playing Mitsu Ryziel purely because Habakiri and Prayers does the job by itself, and the fact that Mitsu has level 4s archetypally anyway, you probably still could do it. You just lost the bridge. But yeah, I think you could still play it, but it's by then. Well, it would just because you love playing Mitsu Ryziel.
Yeah, would we say? So let's say that this Ryziel one, let's say the most effective version is Mitsu Ryziel. Are we saying that that's going to get regionals, or do we feel that people aren't going to bother representing it that much, and it's going to be one of the ones that just peaks at locals?
No, I think it. I think it will still see some regional play. I think some people will overlook the Feral Imps ban because it's one of those things where either you play with the Mitsu engine or you play with the Ryziel engine. You've got best of both worlds to a point. Detonator back with hand traps or some back row is still quite scary. So I genuinely think you will still see it in regional. It's just definitely not the best deck or a best deck. It would be again in the middle. It'd still be there with Malice because that's the thing. They didn't kill the decks entirely. They're still alive in my opinion, just not as good.
Yeah, completely agree. Vanquish Soul. I spoke to Marvin today about pure Vanquish Soul, and I said, like, at the end of the day, with pure Vanquish Soul, right now, with Raisin, however you want to say it, now at 1, it now puts more onus. Like, not even getting access to it makes it more difficult. It means you've got to replace 2 Raisin and 2 Stake Your Soul. And I don't know how you replace them. Because, like, the Raisin, okay, maybe you add in 2 more fire attributes. But the Stake Your Soul was giving you a special summon that I don't feel that you can replace directly with itself. I feel that, if anything, you have to replace it with the K9s, which means a pure Vanquish Soul deck probably doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
but a hybrid is going to be your better option.
Yeah, definitely. I think, even the most avid Vanquish Soul player will tell you you can still play it pure, but you're not going to have a good time with it. But with the K9, I think the K9 probably could still carry it through. Definitely, it's just whether or not you want the suboptimality of the VS potentially holding you back somewhat if you can't get that side going.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do. I still feel that K9 Vanquish Soul will be a regional contender. I think too many people have invested money into that. I also think the same with the Crystons as well. Even though they've lost Incursion, I feel that they're still, both of them are still going to be competitive. If you've already invested in the Crystons and you've already invested in the Vanquish Soul, you're with the K9s, because that's how they were being played at its highest competitive value, you're still going to play them. Even with Nori, the new K9 card as well. And then with the Vanquish Soul, maybe I'm going to be a little bit too harsh on this, but I feel that it's either like right at the bottom of locals, but I think if you were to take it to locals, I don't think you would do that well. I feel that if you're playing it pure, you would only be playing it pure if you were a purist, and that's like, this is the way I want to play my Vanquish Soul deck. And then I feel you're going to be putting yourself at detriment to be pushing it at more of a casual play than you are at like a high-end local to get the most local value out of it.
I agree. I mean, if you look at VS before they got the additional support, like it struggled sometimes anyway, and now you're taking four cards away that really just made them their consistency pieces, and it's like, well, it's just too harmful. And if you can open the God Hand every single game, then yeah. But if if you don't have that ability, unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have a rough time. Especially at locals.
Yeah, exactly that. So I've just seen Pasha's jumped in the chat, so I think now's probably like the better time than ever to talk about one of the things that you're more recently playing, and one that he's very well known for. So you can probably guess what I'm talking about now. So let's jump ahead and talk about Mementos. Now, Memento is one of these weird decks for me, and what I mean by that is artwork. And like the theme that it's based off, absolutely amazing. I think it's so good. It's probably like one of my favourite around. I couldn't get my head around it. Because like the way that it wants to play such a direct route that I feel to pilot it to the level and to pilot it to a regional level, you have to be committed. You have to be committed on that deck. You need to learn the combos. You need to learn the deviations. And now, what's happened, which I don't think the deck ever really needed it, because I've seen the deck play with Goblins over Fiendsmith, and I've also seen it play, like, Fiendsmith as a added benefit, or like a win more option. I still feel the deck is incredibly good with the right pilot. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. And I think the beauty of Memento is, like, ever since I've been learning to play it, I mean, I've always seen it being played, is you understand how versatile it is. The line, well, probably not hundreds, but the several different lines you can go down if you get hand traps at certain points. And the fact that it can just incorporate a variety of engines, like you said with Fiendsmith, the Goblin, like Memento Goblin. I mean, part of that is because of, Memento have their own Goblin, which can be searched off the Goblin spells and traps. And it's just, it's crazy. It's just so powerful. Like you said, in right hands, like I said, there's quite a few Memento players in our circuit. It's crazy. Like the success that they've had and to continue to have. It's crazy how powerful this deck is in the right hands.
Yeah, I think the other added benefit that Mementos have, and it's probably more of a disrespect element from like opposing players, and what I mean by that is, it's not got a silver bullet like Ryziel, like Mitsu. You're like, okay, cool. They do a search, I drop Droll and Lockbird, or oh, my opponent plays a Malice card, I'm going to drop a Lancer on them. Whereas with Memento, it's not as easy to go drop that card on them. And it's kind of one of the ones where I don't know if you would class Memento as like a rogue deck, because it does get its rightful share of representation. So it's a very very weird deck in that scenario. It's a deck that I see so many times. I see it featured on a feature match or something, and the opponent is always reading the cards. They're always going,
yeah, exactly.
What does this do? How does this?
Yeah, what does this do?
Like with Malice, more times than not, you know what they're trying to go to next. The exact same with Mitsurugi, you know what they're trying to get to. The only thing about Memento that you know is 100% sure is you know what endfield they're trying to get to. But everything else, like what goes to what, how you stop certain aspects, again, it requires a lot of research into it. And I think that the way that it loses the most is players that have either played it themselves or players that have researched or faced it religiously. So, and as a lot of people have said in the chat, like Shifter is now only at 1, and Shifter would have been their silver bullet, but with Droll at 3, Lancer at 3, and Shifter at 1, it's going to be a very, very tricky one. So I'll put the question to you. I think we're both in agreement. It's a regional level deck without a shadow of a doubt. Where would we sit it?
So putting personal bias aside, I mean, I've only been playing it for the best part of 3 weeks, but I genuinely think It's up there, probably. I want to say it's going to be. I want to say probably above Sky Striker, and the reason for that is it still has a lot of representation, and it has such versatility, and it is a powerful deck. And if you don't know how to stop it, you don't know when to stop it, you are going to just hand trap at the wrong point, and you're going to be mega punished. And the boards it can end on, in all of its variants, I personally think it's crazy. Again, I might be a bit heavily biased here, because I'm playing the deck, but I personally think it's up there in the right hands. Definitely, it's going to get the representation, but there will be those. There's more top players out there that will play it and to be able to take regional tops with this. Definitely, I mean, if you just look at Duelist Advanced season that's just been passed. If you look at a lot of the regionals, if nothing else, down our side of the country, in London way, there was always a Memento player in the top 8, always, if not more than one at times. So for me, that's my logic.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think a lot of the chat as well is kind of saying it, and I think like Odd Pain have said it the best. It's kind of this. It's in its own little area on itself, and what I mean by that is, it's kind of like it's at the top of the regional space and probably at the bottom of the best deck space. Now, the best decks themselves, in my opinion, we're only going to give to decks that are already consistently topping, like top 8. Pretty much every time you look at it, you'll pull up a top 8 somewhere, and these decks will always feature 99.999% of the time. Whereas Momento is one of these weird ones where it's like 1 week it's top 8, next week it's not featured, and I don't know whether that's representation or the way the deck functions. But yeah, I think it's in this really weird space. I'm just going to go back to a chat quickly that someone put. So someone said, are Kashtiras pure or with something else on the list? The Kashtiras that we're representing as locals is on its own. I feel that when you start looking at Kashtira hybrids, they're very rarely are they like 50-50 splits or anything like that. They're usually like playing free Fenrir or playing like Unicorn or something else in between. So
just addressing Pasha's point, I agree they are consistently topping, but I would say, and again, this is me putting my bias to the side, how many times are they winning? That's the thing. Like, how many times are they getting first place? So if you look at Mitsurugi, you look at Yummy, and the occasional Dracotel, they will be getting first places. Like Memento will be in the top 8, 100%, but they're not winning regionals. They are topping. So I think for it to be considered definitely to be like one of the best decks, it has to be. When you look at a top, or you look at a first place finish, you would expect it to be a Yummy. You'd expect it to probably be Mitsurugi.
Yeah.
Or prior to that, it'd be Malice, etc. But you don't expect to see Memento winning every regional, whereas you would expect at start of regional, a good chance Yummy's going to win this, or there's a good chance Dracotel will win this.
Yeah.
If that changes and Memento start after this banlist and after this most recent set, you got Memento. Oh shit, like, oh yeah, Memento's won again and won first place.
Yeah,
it probably would change the discussion.
Exactly
I'm sure Pasha. I'm sure Pasha will appreciate the point there. And don't get me wrong, he'll probably go to a couple of regionals now and absolutely just probably just take a couple of first places and I have to eat my words. But that's my rationale for why it's not one of the best decks, but it is up there with some of the better decks, if that makes sense.
I mean, I agree with you. What I'm trying to say about like topping is when you look at, so if you were to just like Googling YouTube and look at like America, it's not just Europe that we're looking at, it's America as well. And what I mean by that is if you were to just type, I'll probably do this now actually. I like doing this last time. So Memento deck profile. It's always quite fascinating to do this, right? So if you type in Memento deck profile, right, and then you go let's say, I mean, probably have to do a week for this current format. Okay. Now, the first, I'm trying to see how far I've got to scroll. So I have to scroll. So I've got a 7th place regional, right? In OKC, wherever that is. Okay. And then that's pretty much first place Nottingham regional. Oh, it was pure Mitsurugi. It was Josh Kelly. Of course it was. So this is what I'm trying to say. I googled Memento deck profile and I found 7th place. Whereas if I put Mitsurugi deck profile, we've got, and again, maybe it's just going to only be Josh Kelly. So I've got first place Nottingham is this top one. I've then got 2nd place at Auckland. I've then got, that's probably, I've got a top 8 Yummy Mitsurugi. I've got a 1st place regional in Stuttgart, which is pure Mitsurugi. So that's pretty much, that's crazy already. Like, that's what, 4? And I haven't scrolled a whole page yet. And then if I put Yummy, I don't even want to know how many I'm going to see when I do Yummy. Oh dear. So just do Yummy. Apart from the whole new insane combos. I'm actually shocked. I haven't seen, oh, there you go. Top 8 Yummy deck. Yummy Mitsurugi. No, that's first place Yummy deck profile. Top 4, 6, 7 Los Angeles regional. Yeah, so you kind of get the idea that, I'm not saying that it's all relating on what you search on YouTube, but you kind of get like the representation and the knowledge and everything else.
I mean, you just have to look at Stephen Trifanowski.
Yeah.
He's probably culpable for a lot of regional tops with Yummy, and did he win a YCS with it as well? I'm pretty sure he did.
Quite possibly.
And that's the thing. Like, it's like, I think Pac jumped on Memento for a little bit and had some success, but yeah, if it changes, like, you know, if in this format we are seeing Memento winning regionals, winning a YCS, and whenever you do another tier list, maybe it'll change. But
I think Odd Pain kind of puts it very well. He says how many Memento players are there at events, and I think at the end of the day,
that's true.
The big difference will be, like, if probably it's an unfair comparison using Mitsurugis and Yummies, because without being disrespectful to anyone that plays Yummies or Mitsurugis, but like, if you're a player coming into the game and you're like, right, I've got X amount of budget, what deck do I want to pick up? You're probably going to be more attracted to like a Yummy deck or a Mitsurugi deck, because like the overall, the amount you need to put into it, like the combo lines you need to learn, how complicated it can be, is going to be a lot less.
Pasha's learned with me, like, obviously, where he's been helping me learn Memento in certain stages. Like, at certain points, it's like there's so many combo lines, there's so many different routes.
Yeah.
Some people just don't have the time to invest that. They just have the time to invest that dedication to learn all them combo lines. What happens if you get hand trapped here? What happens if you get hand trapped here? You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Obviously, its strength is its diversity and its adaptability to certain situations, but it's also a weakness for the fact that some players are not disrespectful, but they're lazy and don't want to learn certain or have to be that adaptable. Whereas with Yummy, with Mitsurugi, they can just go, okay, I got drolled. Okay, well, I guess I'll just do this then and pass. Yeah. So, and I think that's the issue with the representation. It's a deck that rewards dedication, definitely.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one real quick fire. We're not going to do all of them, but I'm just going to pick ones, and we're literally just going to go. It goes here. Why? Kind of thing, right? So, Monarchs. Monarchs, I'm putting casual, and the reason I'm putting Monarchs in casual. I'll give it back to you, and you can say, actually, I think it goes here or here, right? So the reason I put it in casual is Domain Lock, insanely powerful. Very few decks can actually out the Domain Lock. That being said, if you look at the high-level competitive decks, they're probably going to out the Domain Lock or stop you getting to the Domain Lock before you can. Dracatal, for example, they'll probably try and fuse with it. If you get the Domain Lock off, you're probably going to win, but your consistency to get it off is going to be very, very tricky. And I think the range of decks that you need to face right now, it will have decks where it'll do really, really well against, but then it'll have decks that it won't do well against at all that don't care about the extra deck, which I think there are a lot of decks right now that can play without the extra deck, which makes it very tricky to do. So that's my one.
Yeah, I agree, Casual. Don't get me wrong, like you said, Domain Lock is strong. Monarch's Erupt is also a strong card, but yeah, it's... You might take the odd person take it to locals, but I definitely think it's still, it's not doing enough, even at a local level.
Excellent. Okay, Lunar Lights. Lunar Lights, in my opinion, is a regional competitor.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know where I would put it on this scale. I don't think it's as, it's one of the ones that once you get to the towers, if your opponent has disrespected towers and don't know how to get out of it or get past it, it's going to be up the higher end of the scale. But if it can get stopped, it will get stopped. So I think it kind of sits within this middle bracket here of,
definitely.
If no one is prepared for towers, it wins. If they can't stop it getting to a towers, they win. So,
and that's the thing, and that's the thing. It's protect the towers at that point, or make multiple towers, or towers and Baguska. It's like, that's definitely where it would sit. Again, it's one index where it's a bit of a knowledge check as well, knowing when to hand trap and what hand traps are good against it. If you can't out of towers, if a deck can produce a towers, that's that tough to, it's always going to be up there, especially with its more recent support.
Yeah. So speaking on towers as well, Super Quantals, I'm going to put Super Quantals in probably next to Melodious. And the reason I'm going to put this is, again, its out goal is a towers with extra steps. The issue is, unlike Lunar Lights, it doesn't have as much versatility to get to its towers. It also doesn't have as much space in a 40 card list to play many disruptive hand traps or anything else like that. Again, it's one of the ones, get to the towers, you win, but it needs more pieces and it needs to go through more stages in order to get to it. Like with Lunar Lights, they can play through quite a lot and then just go, cool, heavy poly, and still end where they want to be. Whereas with Super Quants, they still need to go through all of the different individual aspects to then still get to their towers.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm pretty sure from, again, like I've got some PTSD playing against Charlie at local level with this. I'm pretty sure it lives and dies by draw. I'm sure it does a lot of adding.
Yeah, it does.
I'm pretty sure it does. So it kind of just suffers from that, and just general interruptions.
Okay, Necros, I'm putting in casual, and the reason I'm putting in casual is quite like Monarchs with Domain Lock. Is again, number one, the deck, it plays too much engine so that it doesn't have a lot of space for non-engine. Unicorn locking out the extra deck or negating the extra deck is not as good as it once was. Like back in the day with Telenites, BA and everything like that, to lock out the extra, like to negate the extra deck was a massive thing, whereas now it's just not the case. It's very consistent, but it is also very, very fragile. And when you're looking at a ritual deck between like Necros and Voiceless Voice, you're probably going to play Voiceless Voice over that, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've covered it pretty well there with Necros. It's, like I said, it's a good deck, but it's an old deck, and it needs a lot more support, I think, before it can even keep up with some of the more heavy hitters.
Yeah. Okay, while I've done Necros, which is all decks from Battles of Legend, let's talk about the other Battles of Legend decks first while we're at it. Drax, I haven't tested Drax enough yet, so I don't know where they're going to actually fall, especially with the Dinos cards and like Drac Volcano. So for right now, I'm personally going to put it mid-locals, because Miscellaneous Saurus is still at 1. It's definitely above casuals, but I feel they have the potential, and the only reason I'm not putting it higher is just inexperience against the deck with the deck. I don't know where it fully sits, and I haven't seen anyone do anything too wild with it, but I feel it definitely has the potential to do well for the pure fact that the new synchro we received in Doom of Dimensions is actually really, really good for the strategy itself, and Drac Volcano can really help the Dinos push quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's also worth just maybe thinking about as well. I don't know if the Drac Dino variant would play it, but now we've come into a time where we've got Diagram back at 3, and I think Dinos with 3 Diagram is still quite scary, because that's a very easy way to pop a baby Ceresaurus to get to a True King Lithosaurus. whilst it's not the heyday that it used to be, still being able to banish 3 cards from your opponent's extra deck is still quite scary. Okay, they have to have 3 different names, but you can still pick out 3 of the one-offs. And I think it will definitely spook some people at locals and catch people by surprise. And dinos are still dinos; they still have 1 misc. And if you throw in, like you said, with the Drac support as well, it could be quite some funky hybrids out there. Dinos will just do what dinos will do.
Yeah, you've literally just reminded me. I knew I was missing something. True Dracos. We'll talk about that one because that one's going to be a fun one. Okay, so Dragon Maid on its own, I don't think it's that effective. I think we're looking at like a local level deck. That being said, I think when you combine it, and shout out to Rob on this one because he's the one that plays that. When you play it with Draco Tau, it's scary how good that deck can be. I think it could be one of them ones where there are so many Draco Tau variants, and I know a lot of the competitive players are leaning on the pure version, but I would not be surprised if it took a regional. However, again, in experience, I would probably put it high end of local. I think, quite like Memento, it's like high end local, low end regional, is what I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, I feel like at times Dragon Maid is a bit of a knowledge check deck anyway, or at certain points. And like so, you combine it with the Draco Tau, like you're giving an Omni Gate to Draco Tau as well. It's like, oh, okay, as well as all the disruption that they have. I think, like pure Dragon Maid probably locals, low regional, but if you put the Draco Tau variant, it probably would be definitely up there at a regional level. I think some people just have to whether or not people have to discover it or not, or see the synergy. I think, I think that's fair where you placed it.
Where you put it. Okay, Orcust. I think Orcust variants are regional contenders. Now, unfortunately, for us in Europe, we haven't actually been able to see the benefits of it. And maybe I am wrong on this one because it was like Orcust with Yugioh, wasn't it, that really got them ticking? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. There's also been a lot of Orcust Mitsurugi as well, I believe.
Yeah. So maybe it's a little bit higher up then. I just feel we haven't been able to get the full benefits of it because, and I feel kind of bad for Matthew on this one in the sense that he got them and then obviously a new list dropped and it kind of makes it a little bit awkward to play, but he'll still play it the way that he wants to. I feel that of all of the decks in Battles of Legend, this is probably the best one of them all. And yeah, I definitely think it's we've already seen it win all ICS. It was represented in represented in the YCS. Unfortunately, it wasn't legal for Worlds. Otherwise, Willie would have played it. So yeah, I definitely think that it's definitely on the higher end of the list on this one, without a doubt.
No, definitely. I mean, they have a archetypal Snatch Steel. It's very resilient. They can search an Omni Negate, quick play with the orchestrated bubble. It has a lot of options at its disposal. And once it gets going, it's just a crazy deck. That's what Matt is playing at the moment. Matt is playing Orcust K9.
It's playing with the K9.
And it has a really good synergy, and just being able to make the Ripper and the River Storm, but even just to check some of the more annoying hand traps that Mitsu might struggle with. It's just okay, cool. I've got this insulation here now.
Yeah. Okay, so punks. Now, it's not just going to be punks. I'm going to talk about his psychics as well. So psychics actually got some new support in Doom. Not a huge amount, but they got a new synchro, which is really kind of cool. There's going to be a little bit of hype on the punks, but I feel that they're probably breaching... As my dog has a squeaky toy. She chose the loudest one to bring upstairs. I think punks is a local competitive deck. I feel that the benefit of something like punks is that it doesn't need to rely on burning life points now. It can get to game 3, burn as many life points as it wants, and as long as it gets to that Psychic End Punisher, it will get that one punch shot and just like end it off there. So Psychic Punks, I feel, are definitely a local contender, like middle of the local contender the space.
Yeah, and again, like they get caught in a crossfire if Droll becomes if it becomes a staple again in decks. Yeah, definitely. I think. Yeah, I think there'll be people that play at locals again. It probably will be local, and now I think that'll be for the time where it's a knowledge check. People don't know what the new cards do. I think when people get more acclimatized to it,
it
probably will, I think it probably would fall down a little bit more. Yeah, it'll just be like I don't see it doing anything above locals, and it probably is better than a casual deck because it had new support.
Yeah, it's going to be with the Psychic cards. I think that's really what's going to like take it about a little bit, because I don't think Psychics were really played from the previous set. And then when people start playing the new Psychic cards, I think, like you said, it'll be a knowledge check. So as it currently stands right now, if someone rocked up to locals tomorrow with like the Psychic cards and the with the punks, a lot of people will be like, what does Scales do? What does... Really? Right outside the door as well. What does Scales do? I'm gonna have to get up and close the door probably. What does Scales do, and what did like Mind Procedure do, and everything else like that? So I think once the knowledge check comes into it, it'll start to very slowly drip down, probably the same as Jirax as well, and then end up in casual.
No, that's fair.
Okay, let's try and pick these through very quickly. How quick can we do this? White Forest. I think White Forest are high-end locals, and it can breach the regional space. I've faced people that have done I've faced people that have made it look casual, but I've also faced people that are this level of White Forest as well, that could very easily breach a top-end bracket. The issue with it is it's such a heavy combo-orientated deck that if you're not moving fast enough and your opponent wants to read every single card and they don't scoop, you're in trouble. Very, very big trouble.
Yeah. I think it probably would be the high-end locals. Me personally, like, it just feels like it does a hell of a lot. And it's just had so much support. And yeah, you're right. Like, in relation to the regional aspect, there are a few players that do. It's kind of similar to Memento, I think, in a point of not the versatility, but again, it rewards the player for their dedication to it. Like, and yeah, it's just the fact it's still a relatively new deck, and it could put out an Omni. So
yeah. Yubel. So Yubel's in a bit of a weird space right now. So for Yubel, in order to replace Moon of the Closed, Moon Goddess, can't remember the top name, but basically, people are considering playing Reaper Donkus to turn one of their theme monsters into a light, which I think is really funny. And also, they're talking about playing Summon Sork, and Summon Sork gives your opponent like Samsara D Lotus, and you get Fabled Lorry, which is really funny. But that being said, again, it's kind of one of these grey areas where I think people have adapted to know what Yubel does now, which allows it to drop from this area into this area and becomes a bit more of a local deck. And this is just on like the general scope of everybody. Like, don't get me wrong, if you have played Yubel from day one, you know it inside and out, I think you probably do a lot better with it. But I feel that it's probably more close to being a local deck than it is a regional deck as it stands.
100%. I think losing Close Moon hurts it a lot. I think, in all honesty, I mean, there's been a few different bridges people have talked about to replace replace Close Moon. You've got, like I said, Reaper to turn a fiend into a light, or the light monster into a fiend. I think what a lot of people have experimented. I won't labour on the point too quickly, but Melody, the rank 3 Jin, because it's a light fiend. Yeah. Now I think Yubel could quite easily put in a very small Unchained package, because the smaller monsters are level 3s, I believe. Yeah. So I think that might be a bridge that they go down, and I still think Fiendsmith Yubel could definitely see some play. But I think until people work out what they're doing, it's definitely a locals level. I mean, yeah, there is a Terratop engine as well that people could put in as well. That's correct, as the chat has said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people need to figure out what they're doing with UL before it could be considered anything more than locals at this point.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so let's do these three together. So we'll go Purrleys, Fire Kings, and Dark Worlds. I think they all sit within the same category, in my opinion, on this one. I'll give you my reasonings on each of this. Dark Worlds, they just get absolutely slapped by Drone Bird. As much as I love Dark Worlds, I feel for them to go 5 rounds, and when you're looking at regionals, you're probably looking at 6 rounds. For them to go 6 rounds, X1 or XO, is going to be very, very difficult. At a local level, I think there's too much variety for it to really breach into the local level. So I would put this in the casual aspect along with these decks right here.
Yep.
For the Fire Kings, again, right now, it was a great meta call. Maybe others should be considered as meta call. But in the past, it was a meta call that no one was prepared for that did incredibly well with one of the best pilots of the entire game. And then other people had played it inside and out. Really, really do work it and make it better. Now, the Purrleys are probably a little bit higher on the casual aspect and probably branch into the local aspect. But again, it's one of them ones that if decks are prepared for towers, because lunar lights are floating around and everything else like that, it becomes a lot more of a effective aspect that doesn't really give it, like, doesn't make it as formidable as it once was. So I would put them all in casual. Let me know if you agree or disagree while I go and close the door for the squeaker.
Okay, I'll let you know when you're back.
Squeaker. Sorry, did you say you've got nothing more to add?
Sorry, no. So I'll add when you're back. So I think in this one, I think you're right. The other category should be for the decks that appear to just occasionally crop up here. And I genuinely think Fire King, if it's meta called correctly, can take regionals and even like do well at YCSs or even like the tier 3 or tier 4 events. I think Fire King's a very unique deck in that respect. I would personally put it at other. I agree with Dark World and Purrley. I think Purrley's had its day. It might go to a regional, might take some wins, but I don't see it being anything other than a casual deck. But yeah, Fire King is just a very weirdly specific deck that just it's weird. Metacalls,
I think you're right. And to be fair, they've just pointed out in the chat that they can play the new Dominus card, which I think I really like the new Dominus card. I think a lot of people undervalue it, but Dominus Spiral, and they can also play Impulse. So it's like, I've got a negate, a special summon, and a return. I think it's really kind of cool. No, it's not at the bottom. It's not at the bottom. We've put it in its own like category because I agree. I think it's one of them weird ones where if you were to rock up and no one is prepared for it whatsoever, you would actually clap. But if one person is semi-prepared for it,
oddly enough,
cause a lot of issues.
I think that's going to apply to Centurion as well. Oddly enough,
we'll do that one now. Then I'm going to put Centurion above Fire Kings because me and you both firsthand have seen this. How good this deck can be. We've seen Frankie like top. I can't second place. I think it was the UK Open, and then first place at Stevenage Regional with 100 players. Like, of course, the pilot is next level with the deck. There's no doubt about it. But it's also one of the ones that people like. You sit down and your opponent goes normal summon. What's the name? Primera. Normal summon Primera, and you're like, what? What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then it just starts to cook in front of you, and you're like, what's going on? Fix the colours. What's wrong with the colours?
I think the colours right. I suppose.
I get it. It's because it goes like that. No, what have I done? What have I done? There we go. It's because I've done that, isn't it? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Do you want me to put this one as metacalls? Put this one as casuals. And then people that are joining this are going to be so confused while I'm trying to juggle these around. There you go. Does this makes everyone's like OCD better? Does that work for people?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat now. Frankie's like, works way better when everyone doesn't know what your game plan is. Yeah, I bet it does. Cool. All right. I want to try and push through these a little bit fast because we've been doing this for like nearly an hour and a half. This is crazy. Yeah, I do agree, but at the same time, in decks that can play 15 to 8 hand traps in the current meta, they just can't compete. Yeah, I agree. I think that's one thing you need to take into account is like how small an engine can be for a deck. Live Twins. Now, Live Twins is a very, very weird one. And what I mean by that is the deck was unaffected by the loss of Moon. Like, they just couldn't care less. And the right pilot does incredibly well with it. But it is very susceptible to interactions. So I kind of want to say it's a local deck. But I feel that it's higher end of it. I really do feel that it would branch to the edge of regional depending on what type of pilot you are. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do 3 at a time now to try and speed this up till we get into the new ones. So let's go. I reckon that's gonna be a local one. Chimera is another one that doesn't really care about the loss. And it's kind of like Branded. I don't know why Branded is now this far low. Branded shouldn't be that far low, but. And then let's put Dynamorphia. Is Dynamorphia considered a meta-call? Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. No, I can't help but feel even in. I know time was a factor before, but even then it wasn't really a meta-call.
I think if it gets hit with a Borga, if they face a Vanquish Soul deck, they auto lose.
Yeah, I think low locals definitely.
Low locals.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, well we've ended up putting 3 in locals there. So we've put Live Twins at the higher end of it, Chimera Illusion in the middle of it, and then we've put Dynamorphia at the bottom of it. I kind of think that works. I feel Dynamorphia is in this weird one where again it's kind of one where it burns away its own life points, so it makes the grind game really awkward. And if you get the right opponent that says, I can't break this, I scoop, you're good. But if you get the wrong opponent that goes, I can't break this, but I'm happy to take a double loss, you're probably going to take it. A lot of people are saying it's casual, so I'm happy to be casual.
Yeah.
It's borderline, borderline grey area.
I think maybe because we've had a couple of people play at locals a lot, maybe that's influenced the decision there. But yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm looking back at all of this. I'm looking back at all the chats, and a lot of them agree. So we're kind of in the right areas. So Live Twins low key got better because of Lacrima. Agreed. How long is the VOD looking? The VOD's looking long. It's going to be like an hour and a half podcast, play and go. A query pop the Rextrum. GG. Yeah, that is what that is.
Yeah, true.
Live Twins can play like 20 to 21 non-engine. Very true. Very true. I think we've got those kind of down. Let's have a look at where are we at. So the new ones start here. We're nearly at the new ones. Jesus. Pure K9, I think is top. It's so high up right now. Not even like really pure, but like I think Marvin was telling me today, like you could play like a level 5-esque ability, and because Nori is a machine, you can play the Dio Blaster, and you can actually make Infinity, which I think is disgusting, but different story on that one.
God.
So we'll put K9s in regional. I think Gem Knights is a slept-on deck that not many people know about. And I want to put Blue Eyes in regional. I don't know whether it still is in regional. It probably is. I think it deserves to be there, and I think it can compete. And I feel that, again, if you disrespect it and sleep on it, it will catch you off guard. But if you don't, I think it's going to get caught up. So, Pure K9, I think it can compete. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not as high up with this, but I think with Nori, it's insanely good. Gem Knights being able to play OTK, and again, as Odd Pain has said, it can play so much non-engine. It can play breakers or it can play hand traps. It's insane. And then Blue Eyes everyone, I think it's going to get more representation because everyone now has access to the Primite cards, but then also has the ability to constantly loop its own resource, and then Blue Eyes itself is just an absolute Mac Daddy of a powerhouse. So,
Of course, and they didn't lose or gain anything off the ban list, and it's still as strong as it was. And I think the beauty of the Blue Eyes is you play Primite Blue Eyes. There was was it Blue Eyes, Odeon, Tombkeeper, you can play all sorts of things with it, and it's still very good deck. I think it's more of a representation issue for it as opposed to not being powerful enough.
I'm gonna just put Fiendsmith up in regional, and the reason I'm putting this in regional, not pure, but like this can be played in this deck. It can be played in that deck. I've seen people play Fiendsmith with that deck. With Orcusts, heck, if people really wanted to, they'd probably play it in bloody Lightsworn and everything else. Like, not Lightsworn, Lunar Lights and everything else. So, I'm not saying it's the top of regional, but like the fact the Fiendsmith engine kind of got past unscathed is still insane. So the final three we'll do in one go as well, and then we'll talk about the new cards because we are so far behind. Voice of Voice, I would say, is a massive local contender. Archmages is one of them ones that I think is a high-end local contender, and in the future could branch into the regional space.
Yeah.
And Morganite Stun should not be played at locals. I wouldn't call it a medical. I wouldn't call it a medical. But if you were feeling very, very like, meh, I can't be bothered to use my brain today, and you were to play Morganite Stun, arguably it's a medical. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because I mean, most times when people play stun, it's anti-meta. It's an anti-meta stun deck. That's the thing. So I think it would fit with the metacal. It would fit with the metacal theory. However, it's not on the same level as Fire Kings, because I don't think it's got a chance to win.
It's literally here. It's literally the way I say it is, anyone that goes to a casual play or goes to a locals and plays Morganite Stun, what is wrong with you? Like, why? Casual is fun. Locals doesn't need to be like fully fun, but please don't let me face Morganite Stun. No one even the people that play Morganite Stun don't even enjoy doing it. So
I think most people who play stun will always say sorry.
Yeah, at the end they do it just to, like, their enjoyment isn't playing the deck. Their enjoyment is watching their opponent go, "I hate you" internally with every fibre of my being.
Yeah, but that's also a good point as well. Quickly, Lightning Storm is back to 3. Judgment is down to 1. A lot of the nope cards are gone. And stun aren't as protected as they used to be. It's Iron Thunder and or bust.
Right, okay, let's branch onto the new ones. So for the new ones, I've got Doomsday, I've got Tri Brigade, I've got Dogmatica, I've got Sulphur Cord, DDDs, Dracotail, RBs, Gokis, Radiance, Yummies, Black Crows, Megaliths, and True Dracos. We're going to, get past the elephant in the room. Yummy, cool, go up to the best deck. I'm not even going to waste much time on you.
Yeah, don't need to discuss that.
Dracotails is a weird one, because Dracotails is now looking like becoming the new... Like, you know how we had Thunder Dragons was like that Bridesmaid deck, and then Malice was kind of like the new Bridesmaid deck, where it would constantly get to the top ends, never really get over the line, and then started to get over the line. I feel like Dracotail are like that. And I watched an M. Cole 40 video, and he was like, if you look at... Again, if you were to just Google it, right, and Google it and go, Google Yummy... You would see Yummy, first place, second place, third place, second place, first place, second place. And then you'd Google Dracotail, and Dracotail would be like 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. Like, it's good. It tops. It doesn't win, which is really weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we're going to apply that argument to Memento, we can't then not apply it to Dracotail.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's definitely up. It's at the higher end of regional, lower end of best decks, but... Yeah, we can't apply the same logic to different decks. Like, I understand why people think it should be like straight to the top. I get that. It is a powerful deck, but again, conversion is not there. Like, it's not winning regionals as far as I'm aware. it's always there. It's like you said, the bridesmaid. It's there, but it's not. Oh, Dracotail won again. Oh, Dracotail won again. Oh, Dracotail won again. It's definitely not there. It's definitely. I would probably put it. I don't know. I think there's an argument for which is better out of Memento or Dracotail. I think again, representation wise, you'd say Dracotail because there's more Dracotail than Memento. But again, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you were to play that same duel 100 times, I reckon it'd be something like 51-49.
I think Memento. I think Memento has a better matchup against Dracotail. Like just like on a one like if you sit down between Memento and Dracotail, probably Memento wins more often than not because of its access to obviously popping, disruption, etc. But obviously we could say, this deck beats X deck, etc. But it doesn't matter when it comes to conversion. I personally like that as it is. Personally, like as to where Dracotail is.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. So let's burn out some of the casual ones right now. Radiant as a pure deck is casual, in my opinion. Goki as a pure deck is casual. RB as a pure deck is also casual. Dogmatica as a pure deck is also going to be casual. Doomsday is untested, and I would say as a like if you're playing these pure, they're all going to be casual because they don't have what the rest of the decks above them need, or the rest of the decks have them, which is an established play line because they're all too new. The Dogmatica as a pure would probably lean more into rituals, and they didn't really get that much from the new set. Like your Dogmatica is always going to be a like balanced deck. RB is only on its second wave, and even then, when a deck straight away says you can't summon monsters from your extra deck except level 3, is very, 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 very crazy. Goki really want to try and lock themselves into Gokis. I don't know why, but hey ho. But they also don't have Isolde of the Two Tails.
100%. If Isolde was still here, that would definitely be probably mid locals. Argument for upper locals.
Yeah.
But yeah, without Isolde, they kind of just killed warrior decks when they got rid of Isolde.
Yeah, sadly so. Xenoblade says the Radiant Storms, so the Radiant should be local level because of Featherstorm.
What, are they wing beasts?
Yeah, I think they all are. Like, don't get me wrong, that like, just take my laptop out. It looks like a really, really fun deck. But the fact that the deck says you need to have MST in your graveyard, you're like, bro, why? Maybe it is higher up, but as these are... So all of these decks, right, when you look at them, they're either brand new and untested, or they're trying to do something to keep their decks singular so that they don't overlap. And I think that's really where it kind of restricts them. Okay, then the next ones, I'm going to leave these 3 till last. We'll do those 3 last. We'll do these 3 next. So Sulphur Chord, I personally don't play them, but they can get 2 Pendulum Summons, which is insane. They kind of have a feeling of Melodious, I'm not going to lie. They're kind of like a borderline Melodious to me. I don't know if they're this high up on the local scale, but I think if you disrespect them, you're going to get clapped by them a lot quicker than you even think. Megaliths are a really weird one. I feel that they can compete and you'll be like, where the hell have this come from? But then I also feel that it will struggle as well. So I'm not too kind of like sold on the Megaliths as of yet. Maybe they should be in the casual aspect. But because they have more of a backlog than the other decks down here, and they're trying to do a little bit more, they've got a bit more aggression, a bit more flood, a bit more protection, I feel they could probably branch into the local aspect. And the new Tri-Brigade cards, they've got a brand new spell and a brand new Link monster, I think is really kind of cool. So I'm just going to put them down here because I don't know. I'll let you, once we've discussed between me and you, we might bridge these up a little bit more. But Of these three here, I definitely agree. I think Sulphur Chord is branching on this Melodious aspect. I think the deck can be absolutely insane. Yeah, but that's kind of my first thoughts.
I mean, I can't even make an argument for Sulphur Chord because I don't know enough about what they do, unfortunately. So I would be unfortunately informed by others at this point. When it comes to Megalith, I feel like if Block Dragon was still about, I think that was the kind of that when it saw some success, but when Block Dragon was about. I mean, the new support is good. I think it definitely pushes them up to the locals level. I think again it will be one of them decks where if you're really good at it, or dedicate yourself to it, you might be able to take it to a regional, have maybe a little bit of success, but again, it's not going to be overly represented. The support that's been released isn't broken, but it's good. It doesn't elevate them to a point where everyone's going to be playing it. Tri Brigade, Tri Brigade is still a good deck. It's just I think Power Crept is probably it's just been Power Crept. It's not bad. It didn't get any worse. It just didn't keep up. Obviously, it's only just recently had new support now. I think it will still do a job. But obviously, when it was in its heyday, it was Revolt, Banish, etc. Revolt into Shure, etc. Yeah, I think you can still take them to the locals, and have some success definitely. For them to I can't really comment on Sulphur Chord, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Sulphur Chord is probably of those three is definitely going to have the most potential. I think it's going to be one of the ones that's going to be quite a selective player base, and what I mean by that is you either need to invest in them now and buy the older cards, which I think would be crazy to do because I think their prices are going to be a little bit too high, or you're going to already have them and you're going to be like, yeah, now's my time to shine, and you're going to catch a lot of people off guard. Definitely. Okay, the next ones. So let's go with Black Rose. Black Rose is insane. Like their new cards are absolutely kind of crazy. So they've got Black Rose Garden, which when it's activated, you add a Rose Dragon monster from the deck or grave to the hand. All face-up monsters on the field become plant. Then, if it is destroyed, you inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each plant monster in your graveyard and banishment. And if it is destroyed by the effect of Black Rose Dragon, you burn them for another 2400, which is just disgusting. I'm just going to Google Bramble Rose as well. So Bramble Rose is the brand new Synchro monster. And it is another level 7. So it's basically like a new Black Rose. Each time your opponent activates a monster effect, you inflict 600 damage to your opponent. And if you do, all monsters your opponent currently controls lose 600 attack. You can only use each effect once per turn. Each of the following effects once per turn. Which is each time your opponent activates a monster effect, inflict 600 to your opponent. You can only use each of the following effects. Oh yeah, each of the following effects. So during the main phase, you get a quick event to tribute this card to special on a Black Rose Dragon from the extra deck, and it's treated as a Synchro Summon. You banish it from the graveyard to special on a level 4 or lower plant unit from the grave. So basically, you get access to Bramble Rose with Black Rose Garden. I'm pretty sure you're going to like OTK your opponent without even needing to attack them, which is disgusting because you're just going to sit there. You're going to blow up your own Rose Garden. So your Bramble Rose is going to burn them for like however many effects they can use. Is there only monster effects? I literally just read it as well. Yeah, monster effects. So if they use 4 monster effects and then you Bramble Rose tag out into Black Rose Dragon, nuke your own Black Rose Garden, your Black Rose Garden will then burn them for another 24. So they've taken 48 already. You've nuked their field. Like, that's going to be pretty gnarly. And then they've got another couple of months. They got the Rose Witch. You can only use the first and third effect once per turn. If it's Synchro Summoned, you send up to 2 plant monsters to the grave, and it is a level 7. One from the deck and one from the extra deck. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros. Plant monster you control can't be destroyed by card effect. And if a card or cards on the field is destroyed by a card effect while this card's in the grave, you get special on it. So basically, it lets your Black Rose be immune to its own nuke effect. And then the other witches, if you control Black Rose that mentions it, or a monster that mentions it, or a plant Synchro, special summon it from the hand. If it's sent to the graveyard, a Synchro monster is on the field, you discard a card special on a plant with 15 or less attack, 15 or less defense. So it basically just lets you float around. So you're going to be pushing through your tuners and your Synchros to get into your level 7 Synchros quite fast. So
I think yeah, I mean, I've always had a bit of a weakness for synchro decks, and it sounds like it generally looks like the support could be decent. I think it'd definitely put it at a locals level. I don't think it's gonna be casual.
yeah,
Because it generally is, like I said, a bit bonkers what it can do. I think maybe it might be able to push itself higher up the locals ladder at some point.
yeah, agreed.
It probably will be again one of them. A player will take it somewhere, have a good run with it. Everyone, oh, this deck's actually pretty good.
Well, one thing a lot of people need to remember is that there is speculation that we could possibly get new. Well, we already know we're going to get the Akiza and the Crow decks alongside the Yusei deck. We know the Yusei deck has got 5 brand new Synchron cards. So the argument could be that the Black Rose deck and the Black Wing deck are going to get 5 new cards in each of those as well. So now's a really good time to be picking up these Black Rose cards, because if you get even more cards that enhance what this can do, it's going to be insane in the future.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, now these are the 2 big ones for me and you. Less so the DDDs for yourself, but like the DDDs are looking insane. Now the issue I have with DDDs is that they still have no space whatsoever to play non-engine, unless you bump into like a 60 card deck, which I'm never the biggest fan of. So let's start off with DD Count Surveyor. Now this came out in Battles of Legend, right? There's pendulum scale of 1. Once per turn, if you pendulum summon a DDD monster or monsters, you target 3 monsters your opponent controls with the same type or attribute as each other. Tribute 2 of those 3 face-up monsters, and if you do, the third gains attack and defense equal to the total attack and defense of the tributed monsters had on the field. So you can clear off 2 of your opponent's monsters just by tributing them, which is disgusting. The other effect is, like its monster effect, is you get to discard 1 other DD monster to special summon this card from the hand, and if it's normal or special, you get to add a DD monster with 0 attack or defense from the deck to the hand. So straight away, you get to search out your Kepler, you get to search out your Swirl Slime, you get to search out pretty much whatever you want. And the card that is going to cause the biggest issue, which I think is just so good. They got a brand new Xyz, a brand new Synchro, and a brand new Pendulum Monster, which is a level 2, which is gnarly. I'm just about to... I didn't pull any at Sneak, which is really annoying. Where are you? Doom of Dimensions. Last 2, guys, I promise we're nearly there. Whoa, I bet you didn't realise you signed up for this one. Here you go, right. It's not a level 2, it's a level like 8, I lied. So Pendulum Scale is you can only use the Pendulum effect this card name once per turn. During the main phase, if it was activated this turn, you place a Dark Contract continuous spell from the deck face up on the field. And then its monster effect is you can only use the first and second once per turn. If a face-up DDD or Dark Contract you control is destroyed while this card is face-up in the extra deck, you get to special summon it, and then you get to destroy a card on the field. And if this card is in the monster zone, it's destroyed, you get to place it into the pendulum zone. So you're getting all these ways to get access to just more consistency. The deck is still going to massively struggle against Drow and Lockbird because it wants to constantly search. But it just has so much more. Like, it's just one of these decks that you keep looking at, and it's like, bro, why is the deck still like pushing through? So Purrley, it says hard disagree. You can easily have like 15 spots of non-engine in the most deck list currently. I haven't seen a deck list that has had 15 non-engine in. I could very well be wrong. But the last time I saw a list, it didn't have 15 non-engine in. Let me have a... maybe I can't pull up the window I had. I'll let you consider DDDs because obviously Noel used to play them, and I'll try and see if I can find this list with 15 non-engine in.
Oh, when Noel used to play these were a lot more simple, and well before I think he might have just picked them up when Machinex and Griffin were released. I mean, the general new support is crazy. It has nib installation now, right? With the new Link 3, is that correct?
Yeah, so they've got a new Link 3, which is basically they're out to Nibiru. They've got a consistency card in a rank 4.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to have a look at a deck list. I mean, to be fair, maybe I am wrong on this one because this deck list does have like. So this deck list has 3 Fuelos, 3 Ash, 3 Impulse, and 2 Imperm. So it's not like 15, but it's still pretty good for non-engine. Maybe it is the introduction of these new cards that just give you so many lines of consistency that you don't need to... Like, what amazed me when I saw the first deck list I saw is that they didn't play Swirl Slime anymore. And I was like, what? They don't even play Lamia. I was like, yo, you could put Copernicus down to 1. You're going, like, full-on Pendulum. I think they play, like, 3 non-Pendulum DDDs, which is just, like, absolutely mad. So, I mean, maybe they can have a bit of space for non-engine then.
Yeah, it just goes to show you obviously how it's evolved with the new support. But I mean, I don't know, how is it searching more than it used to? Again, could it potentially get caught in the crossfire of Droll? I don't know, like, you know, because I know obviously Dark Contract adds, Savant Kepler adds. Yeah,
it definitely wants to search a lot. There's no doubt about that. But I suppose the big difference now is, even when it does search, because it's now gone to the pendulum side of everything, it's like if its pendulum does get stopped, they just go, okay, cool, set up the scales, pendulum, and their scales have always been ridiculous. Their scales have always been like 0 to, like, I think 9 or 10 sometimes. So, like, they just pendulum out everything, and usually their end field is pretty much come at me, bro. It's like, if you break it, you win. If you don't break it, you lose. And when you're playing like Mechanics, you're playing the Link 3, which is the negate. They're not even playing, like, you got High Wave King Caesar. You've got the one that negates the spell, like a face-up spell or trap as well. So
that is Curse Siegfried, I believe. I want to say Curse Siegfried. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think DDDs is going to be another one of them ones where you need to learn the combos. And once you learn the combos, you're going to be in a much better position. But maybe looking at these lists, because they're playing more pendulum heavy as well, they don't really lose out to cards that negate from the grave, banish from the grave, stop from the grave, because they're not going to want to put everything in their graveyard. Like, you're going to be selective of what you put there.
I think it would... Again, I just feel like if you're seeing a lot of extra summons, is it not going to kind of live or die by if your opponent's is full loss or not as well? Especially if there's, you know, pendulum a lot. I mean, obviously, I know pen you summon from hand, maybe Purrley would be better, but don't get me wrong. I think the new support is definitely going to be up there, like probably lower regional. I would say. I generally think it's got the support to be able to probably go to a regional and definitely steal some wins. I don't know about over here, but definitely in the over in the, like, the States, for example. I know DDD's always been very popular in the States, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, like next weekend, so a week today, we'll start to see what these new decks are really going to do, because obviously it's YCS Lille, so we'll start to see if our predictions of some of these are going to kind of come true and push it where it needs to go. All right, just before we go, this is the last one. This has been a very long day, so like a very long evening, so I do really appreciate you hanging around for this one. So, Dracos, True Dracos. Now, before the most recent list, I would have been like, yeah, these cards are cool. But not that it's searchable or anything, because it's annoyingly not a bloody True Draco card. But they got a brand new spell card and they got a brand new monster. Now, just to refresh everyone's memory, the brand new monster is a brand new masterpiece, and it requires 3 tributes to be normal summoned face up. You can tribute your continuous spells and traps normally, as you would do anyway. When your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or field and you control this tribute summon card, you get a quick effect to just negate the activation if you do destroy it. If this tribute summon card is destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect while it's in its owner's control, you can skip your opponent's next main phase. Now, this is actually weird, because I swear I pulled one today, and I swear it says if it's just destroyed by card effect. So I'm currently looking at OCG rulings, so I could be wrong with that. They did, I say they got a spell, they also got a new
Mariamne card.
Yeah, which I don't know if you would play it or not. It's like a level 6, you summon it, but if you tribute off one of your True Draco cards, you can actually give it to your opponent. And the benefit of giving it to your opponent is it mills their top 4 cards. But I don't know if you actually need to. So let me just get this in front of me. Is this going to be a bad... Or did I just read it? Yeah, no. Destroyed by an opponent's card effect. I just read it like a muppet. Because I was like, oh, yay, I can destroy it with my own trap card and then skip my opponent's main phase, which I did think was a bit too degenerate. Anyway, so that's the brand new masterpiece. It's kind of like meh. Like, the nice monster in the gate is kind of cool. The spell card is where it gets proper spice. So Draco Standoff. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. So when this card resolves, you get to add a True Draco or True King monster or a Draco Slayer or a Draco Overlord Pendulum monster from the deck to your hand. So you basically just search out any of your monsters that you want to. Then if a face-up True Draco and or True King monster or monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you target one of them and place it face-up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So now, if you use your trap card to tribute it off, it just goes, thanks bro, and then puts itself as a face-up monster. A lot of lists I've been seeing are actually playing like 3 Masterpiece now, which is insane, but I think that might just be off the back of everything. So just as a refresh of what True Dracos would currently look like now, you'd probably be looking at like 10 monsters. So 2 Majesty, 3 Dynamite Knight, 1 Ignis Heat, or more Ignis Heats if you want to, and then a mixture of your Masterpieces as you see fit. 3 Diagram. God, that sounds so good to say. 3 of the Draco face-off, because then it searches you out whatever you need. 2 Disciples, or 3 Disciples if you want to. 3, is it Heretic?
Heritage, yeah.
And then you've got 3 Apocalypse and then 2 or 3 Returns. Then you can play 4 Skill Drains if you want to. So Skill Drain and 3 Monarchs Erupt. You've got Pot of Dualities. You've got Card of Demise only at 1 over here in the TCG. And then you can fill up with Tikaboo, Rivalry, like any floodgate breaking card, which is just absolutely insane. And this is before you even consider going normal summon Amanawato. You could very easily go normal summon Inspector Border if you wanted to, but I feel like normal summon Amanawato is just as degenerate as it ever was done. So, True Draco, Shane, talk to me.
I honestly hoped that the support would be enough to maybe propel it, but if I'm using my brain and not my heart, I would say it's definitely a locals deck. That's not to say someone couldn't take it to a regional and have a good run and maybe cheese a top 8, depending if they get if they read the room right, have the right floodgates, have the right side deck. I think the day, and Konami probably agree now in relation to obviously releasing Masterpiece from the Forbidden Limited list. I think the day of the oppressive Masterpiece being unaffected by spell trap or monster cards is unfortunately not the force it once was, because now we have imperm, or so infinite impermanence. So if you go monster spell, it's susceptible to imperm. If you go monster trap, it's susceptible to droplet or to Book of Eclipse, etc. The game has evolved a lot from when Masterpiece was like this absolute terror where people, oh my god, that card is so unfair. The new spell is amazing, don't get me wrong. I think if they made it so the new spell was searchable, then I think that would probably make it probably more better, bad grammar, better than it is now. The fact that you can't, if you pop the new spell, you can't draw off Heritage, it feels bad to me. But obviously the spell is quite inherently powerful, so I get why you can't search it off Diagram. The new Masterpiece is very meh. Me personally, I think it's a bit not so much gimmicky, but the main phase skip is nice. But if you're going to summon this Masterpiece, you're using so many resources. Like free, it has to be free. It's not an option of you can do free if you want. It has to be free. It sits in the same realm as Metaltron 11, the old one, which also required free summons and saw no play. And I think that will be the case for the new Masterpiece as well. Me personally, but I think it will still not cheese. So I think it will still do well at a locals level. Me personally, and if someone did get a regional top of it, they'd have my gratitude forever. But yeah, that's me speaking with my head and not my heart.
Yeah, no, I think you're very right. Yeah, it's definitely, it is exactly that. I think Masterpiece has been power crept. Yes, you can make it unaffected by spells and traps or monsters, like a combination of those two. Still banishing the continuous spell, the traps from the grave can also be pretty good as well. But yeah, I think we're way past the point now. The only way that it works is becoming like a full-on control deck. Like, it has to become like the Morganite stun level, which I already said, don't play Morganite at locals. And it's kind of the same with True Dracos. The only benefit of True Dracos is it's like, let's go aggressive, like, let's push.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're way past the point of where True Dracos becomes, or even eclipses what it was in the past. Maybe we see True Draco Zodiac have a bit of a dust off, but again, I think Dryden has even been naturally power crept these days as well. So it's just not the way that it used to be or was or anything else like that. So I completely agree. I completely agree with you on that one. And yeah,
I think in vacuums, True Draco. So for example, against Sky Striker, who just have nothing but spells, they're going to struggle. If you make it monster spell, how are they out in a masterpiece?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there probably is ways. However, it's going to require a lot of brain power. Or if you go True Draco into trap based decks, like how are they going to out masterpiece? So in vacuums or certain situations, it will be the terror of maximum crisis like it used to be. Like, oh my goodness, this Draco, this masterpiece is crazy. But against the more modern decks that play a whole modicum of spells, traps, and monsters, it's just not. Yeah, like I said, it's not the force it once was. But yeah, in definite certain scenarios, it's going to be card's broken, but in reality, it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a consistency piece, and it kind of shows you, at the end of the day, it's like kind of feel Diagram to go from 1 straight to 3. They were kind of like, yeah, we don't worry about this anymore. And then Diagram to go from 1 to 3, they're kind of like, again, yeah, we don't worry about this. So yeah, no, that was very fun. I'm definitely going to need to rethink this in the future. I should definitely not be doing 50 decks or like nearly 50 decks. Because we've been streaming for like 2 hours now, recording for nearly 2 hours as well. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to put this out. I'm going to have to put this out as like a full clip rather than a part 1, part 2. It's going to have to be like a full 2 hour, read 'em and weep kind of podcast level. Anyway, thank you so much to every single one that joined in the chat tonight. Thank you, massive shout out to Shane on this one. Like, I asked him like this morning to jump on with this because I thought it'd be kind of a cool back and forth conversation, and I've only just realised that usually if it takes me an hour to do a video like this and it's just me talking to the chat, I never considered that we'll both be talking at like near enough the same rate. So I think maybe in the future, stuff like the Purrleys and like maybe Monarchs and Dark Worlds and everything else kind of gets minimized and shrunk down a bit to make this life a little bit easier for the next one. Anyway, we're going to be heading off. It's 10 p.m. UK time right now, and kind of probably get some shut eye. Anyway, thank you so much for the chat. Thank you, massive shout out to Shane on this one. If you wanted me to be doing more videos like this on Saturdays when I live stream and get more people involved, or even get Shane back on more of them as well, whether that be a tier list, whether that be a hand trap list, whether that be a breaker list, a banlist prediction video, which isn't going to be for like another 7 months, then let me know. If you enjoy this type of video, put it in the comments down below, and we will bring you more discussion topics like this. Heck, might even get you guys to join on one point on a Discord channel, and we just have like a decent chat as well. Anyway, thank you so much to every single one of you watching. Thank you so much for every single watching live, the pre-record, you name it. Thank you for all the support. And as I said, massive shout out to Shane. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, Happy dueling.